another edition of Authentic Chat with Praise. Develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow. Hey, why only survive when you can learn to thrive?
Yes, Honorable Miria Matembe. And mostly we know you for your zealous advocacy for human rights. Yes, we know you for that. Would you please introduce yourself to us, much as all of us pretty much know you? How do you introduce yourself?
They call me Miria Matembe. I am a mother. First, I'm a wife.
Okay.
Then a mother. Then a mother in love. Then a grandmother of 10, 11 actually,
wow.
Including twins. That is by family standards.
Yes.
Professionally wise, I am a lawyer. As you hear, those who want to add on titles, they call me the Honorable Dr. Miria Matembe. That means you have 3 degrees in whatever course.
Oh,
so
wow.
I have a doctorate in laws, masters in laws. Job-wise, I am actually a lawyer by profession, but a politician by calling. In this calling of politics, I started from village level, LC1, up to the highest level in Parliament and beyond Pan-African Parliament. During that period,
Yes.
I worked as a commissioner for Uganda Constitutional Commission for 4 years, as a Constituent Assembly delegate, the assembly that passed the Constitution, for 1.5 years, as a minister for ethics and integrity. That is in the area of government.
Yeah.
Outside, in the civil society organizations,
Yes.
I'm a founding member of almost every human rights organization in this country, even regional, FEMRET, WILDAF, all those regional organizations. I have been working as a consultant on women and politics within the region of Africa. And these days, I'm more at home.
Wow.
But in all this, my passion in life
Yes, please.
is for gender equality and women's empowerment. That is my childhood dream, which was shaped out of my lived experience as I grew up in a rural village in Rutoma with Wera Kashari. Now, to crown all this,
Yes.
I love the Lord because I'm a born-again Christian, and these days I call myself a political evangelist.
Wow. What an introduction. Oh my God. Thank you so much for that. And now, before we go ahead, usually we have an icebreaker that we do before going into the questions. I mention a word, and then you mention the first thing that comes to mind. Character. Integrity.
Yes.
Okay, woman.
Woman.
Yes.
Man.
Legacy.
Legacy.
Yeah.
Necessary.
God.
Holy Spirit.
And now going into the questions, I would like to know what's the story behind your zealous advocacy for human rights and women empowerment.
In my life, I've been driven by this childhood dream for gender equality and women's empowerment, and generally for fairness and justice, which springs from my lived experience of discrimination. As I grew up as a young girl with my brothers who were boys, I suffered discrimination because I could see how they are treated better and better than me. They are given priority, they are given better opportunities, they are given, and I grew up to question this kind of thing. I'm not going to take you into the whole story, but I'll give you just an example so that you may understand what I'm talking about. As we grew up in primary, whenever, of course I told you I come from a peasantry background where there were no finances. We were living on the minimum peasantry money. So whenever there would be no school fees, they chase us from school. My brother's fees would be found immediately, and mine would take like a month or two. And whenever there was like market days or fellowship days for my mother, who was a born-again Christian, that means I will not go to school in the afternoons because I'm attending to the siblings. Those kind of things. And as a little girl, as I grew up, I was wondering, why is this like this? And this guy whom I was following used to fail in classes, despite the fact that he's attending all the time. And one time I met him, found him in P6, repeated. I studied with him, then we went to P7. Then I did well, first grade. Those days, if you didn't have first grade, you don't go anywhere. So first grade, I got first grade. He didn't. He repeated. I went to a secondary school, Bweranyanji, and he repeated P7. But when I reached senior 2, he passed to go to senior 1. And so they had to come and withdraw me from the secondary school to give way for this boy to go to secondary school because I am a girl. My parents didn't have school fees for 2 people in a secondary school. And I had not told you that by then, at 9 years, I had made up my mind to study and become a lawyer, a pleader, because I had learned that pleader is somebody who pleads for other people. So I had wanted to be a pleader and plead for the girls and the women whom I thought were being cheated. So they came to withdraw me so that they may kill my dream for studying law. And I was very, very angry. I couldn't. You also can imagine. You people, by the way, you women who are here, who are enjoying the benefits that we have fought for, don't think it was like that. To go and study law, it was not like that. And to continue and go beyond and go to university and study any course you wanted, it is because of our fight.
Wow.
Many Christian people say those are feminists, those are what they don't understand, what we stand for, because things have happened, but things were not like that. So I had to go as a little child at 14 years. I had to go take my mother, who didn't know English, to go to education officer so that I may plead for my bursary. Thank God those days there were bursaries for the poor. You can imagine these days, people like me who grew up like me would not reach where I have reached now. So eventually I got my bursary and I studied, and all along I was driven by this whole idea of becoming a pleader and pleading for the women and the girls. And when I reached HSC and I studied about British parliamentary history, then I saw parliamentarians arguing. That's when I learned that those people who, the laws, I wanted to study the law and know what they are saying and be able to change them. So when I got to HSC, I learned that those people who are in parliament are the ones who make law. I extended my dream beyond studying law to becoming a member of parliament.
Oh, wow.
So for me, eventually, of course, I became a member of parliament. And you don't know how my father resisted my becoming a lawyer. He said, I'm going to ostracize you. And I said, after all, he has not been paying school fees. I don't care if he ostracizes me. I would have been saved of having to maintain him afterwards. So I resisted. I told him to go to Makerere and see the headmaster to see whether they can change the course. Of course, poor village man, you couldn't go to Makere, he didn't know where it was. So by that, I managed to study my law and became a lawyer. And guess what? Having become a lawyer, then eventually become a parliamentarian. And can you imagine when God has got a dream for you, he puts it on the table. I was dreaming of one day changing the laws of Uganda. Little did I know that I will be appointed on the Uganda Constitutional Commission to make the very mother of all laws in this country. Therefore, me, I consider myself as an accomplished woman of destiny.
Wow.
With a great passion.
Wow. Interesting. So meaning for you did not have to struggle to find your purpose? Like, did it come so, looks like it came, like you knew it from way back. You knew what you wanted to do.
Do you know how you know your God-given purpose? One of the ways in which you identify your God-given purpose is your lived experience. You are one of the things that determine. You know, we have what you call shape.
Yeah.
How do you determine God's purpose for your life?
Yes.
You have shape.
Shape,
you know what
do
shape
you
means?
mean?
What shape means? What does shape mean? I used to know it very well. Everybody has their own shape.
A mold?
Shape. I'm trying to remember those words. S. At least H is your heart.
Yes.
A is your ability. P. Personality.
Okay.
What is your personality like? Then E is your lived experience.
Oh.
Where has S gone? Look for it. Have you never had this word shape, you people? You can help us. That is what is used. You write S.
More reason you need to keep attending authentic chats.
Yes.
I mean,
so that you know.
shape.
I don't know. S. I will find it.
Okay.
But you can see those ones. So mine was my lived experience. Because when as I lived,
yes,
and so what I was going through, I raised to question it. And as I questioned it, I got an answer. And the answer was, I must study law and see what the law is saying about this unfair situation that I'm subjected to, together with fellow women and girls. Because I came to learn that women and girls are treated less than human beings. When I was wondering, that's what they are, because they are women, because she's a woman, and I was getting very angry.
Yes.
And so I said, okay. You know, for me, right from the time I was 10 years, I was dreaming of one day when I would get a platform, very high platform, probably like the mountain of Beatitude in Israel. And I would stand on that mountain and I would shout and say, women and girls, come, let us refuse. We are cheated. At the 9 years there, then I was dreaming of that. You know, this NRM says resistance, national resistance movement. Me, I resisted long ago before they even thought of being in existence. I resisted my mother from withdrawing me from school. I resisted my father from stopping me to study law. I resisted him from stopping me to marry whom I wanted. I resist, and up to now, I resist the wrong things. I resist injustice. I resist. I will continue to resist. Inequalities, injustice, and fairness, I resist. So for me, wherever I'm going, whatever I'm doing, I'm driven by what I call my God-given purpose. You know, each of us has an assignment in this world.
Yes, each one of us has an assignment and we know that, we keep hearing that, but it's not so easy to actually know.
Even for you as a Christian.
Okay.
Have you heard? I'm trying to find this S thing because
yes.
Have you written that word? Yes. But you can see if you take heart, where in this world, if you want to determine where does your heart go? For instance, my heart was going for injustice. In fact, if I meet, you see me, if I meet like a person beating a baby, I can beat you myself. If I find somebody mistreating a woman, I don't want misery. I don't want people to be sad. I want my heart goes for anything against
humanity.
Yeah, my heart, you feel it, you feel. So what does your heart feel? If you are determining, you look at where does your heart go. And then you look at your ability. You know what the scripture says? That God gave to one, he gave 1 talent. Yes. To another, he gave 2. To another, he gave 5. Each according to their ability. Each of us has ability. Wow. That's why, for me, you'll never find me competing with a fellow woman. How can I compete with a fellow? Does she have my ability? Do I have her ability? I have my own ability. She has her own ability. What matters is you. According to your ability, God gave you. So you utilize what he gave you according to your ability. So that is ability. Shape, heart, ability, and then personality. I see some people, they can't open their mouth, talk. I am going to Parliament. To do what? Does that personality take you to Parliament? What is your personality like? If you are a quiet person who is withdrawn, then look at it. Then you have purpose for you. There are so many things for withdrawn people to do, great things. So consider your personality. You need to read these books about personality. You know them?
Yes.
Some are red, some are green, some are white, some are yellow, those personalities are there. Penguin, what. So you need to know your personality. And then the last one was the experience. The lived experience. How does it shape you? I know my friends, I see my friends who are service. They love service. They want to serve everybody. At times I go and visit my friend, I arrive, I just want to go and rest. I say, have a cup of tea. Before please have tea, please have juice. Those are people who serve. You think you come to me and I'm running, say please, please, please. Yeah, I want to do my things and move on. So you need to know. You need to know your personality, you need to know your experience, you need to know, and all this in totality shape who you are and your purpose. And especially when you are a Christian, why don't you go before God, kneel down and ask him? Why don't you ask him what he wants you to do? You can do that.
Yes, thank you. Doctor, the other question I would like to ask is, having watched you, and actually I also read it in your book where you say you are proud that you were able to live a life that epitomizes the fact that it is possible for women, for a woman to live valiantly for a cause without neglecting her domestic and reproductive responsibilities of a wife and a mother. How do you balance work and career and still chase your dreams as a woman? And also, I would like to address the fact that not so many people actually meet that standard. Why do you think they fail? Because for you have made it. Like they fail to balance career, work, and family.
Yes, first of all, you need to know that, like I was telling you, the perception about women, should I call it the gender ideology? The gender ideology about this whole question of womanhood. Gender ideology identifies a woman and identifies a woman as a secondary class person and places her in a specific place of privacy. Gender ideology says there is public space, there is private space. Now, you men are for public space. The women are private space. And then, after placing women in the private space, they underrate and despise what women do in that private space, as if it doesn't matter at all. And yet, in fact, if you were to really evaluate what happens in that private space, it is that private space that that makes it possible for those who go in public space to actually manage.
Yeah.
And so they cheat us. They say, go there. And then they despise and underrate what you do. Now for us, we the gender fighters, if I can use the word which people don't want to hear, the word called feminists. The feminists are saying we are as equally of human beings as the men. And so we are able to perform in the public sphere. In fact, we are better than men, because for us we perform in both spheres and very well. So we perform in the public sphere and then also in the private sphere. Now, because of the challenges that of course you can face when you are having double workload, if you are not understood, then you are bound to fail to balance. Okay?
Yes. So.
But if you are understood, by especially when you are like me, we are talking of domestic and public. I have been married for the last 44 years.
Wow.
And if you pick somebody, if you are listing among I think 10 women in this country, to find the most vocal one when it comes to fighting for gender equality and women's empowerment, I don't think, if you are very fair or if you are knowledgeable, I must rank there.
Yeah, true.
Because if you may not know, but in 1998, I was chosen as one of 100 women world over who have done so much when it comes to this whole issue of gender. And yet, I am still married with my children and my family and grandchildren, and we are okay. So that shows you that working in public sphere is not a cause or fundamentally a cause for breaking the private sphere.
Oh, okay.
So what do you need? First of all, if you are married,
yes,
you need an understanding man. You need secure men. You need a secure husband who understands and knows that you are equally a human being as he is. A man who identifies your ability and capacities and is able to support you as you go on in the work. You know, if you read the Bible well, you remember this man Barak, not Obama. There is Barak, commander in the Bible. The commander who was supposed to go and face Sisera as the commander of the other cabinet, his army. Deborah.
Yes.
Deborah told Barak, go and face Sisera and fight. But Barak said, the way I know you, Deborah, I think you are the most capable person to fight this war. Barak was able, he knew he was a man, but he was able to recognize capacity and ability of Deborah to go with him and they win the war. Wow. So we need men like that who are able to identify the capacity, the potential and ability of their wives and push them forward instead of sitting on them and bringing them down. So that is point number one. Point number two, you as the woman also need to know your priorities right. First of all, you must have a vision. You must be driven by vision. You people, I want to distinguish for you a vision from an ambition. Many people are driven by ambitions. You know, when you are driven by ambition, that whatever you do is about your ambition. Ambition means that which you drives you for your own self to do better, to compete and do better than others. If that is a ambition. When you are driven by ambition, you may knock walls, you may knock all because for you. But when you are driven by a vision means whatever you want is for the good of others.
Oh, wow.
When you are driven by the vision which is for the good of others, let me tell you, God is able to make the situation possible for you to realize that vision because it is for his people.
Wow.
And so you will bring along people along your path because you are working for God. When you are working for God, God is at the upper hand. Your priority should be God. Then my second priority was my family. My third priority was the job. Let me tell you, the job in office. These jobs in office, they can throw you anytime, anyway. But your cause, by the way, your cause remains. If it is the cause for the good of others. So if you prioritize God first, then God will give you the wisdom. God will make a way where there is no way. He will bring along people along your way who will help you to work. You remember King David? God used to bring him, people who would be with him and make him move because he has God's purpose to realize ahead of him. And then you must also care for your family. You must care for your family. Some of us have really let our children down. You parents, especially if I can have opportunity and tell you women. When you read the Bible, read it properly. I'm not a preacher. I can preach. I'm a political evangelist, yes. I'm a political evangelist. When you read that Bible, you will know that when Adam sinned, when he ate the fruit, when he succumbed to the voice of a woman, which he was not supposed to do, because he had been told what was right. And so we fell. God told the woman, and I have put a battle between you and the serpent. Isn't the serpent the devil? So God said, between you and the serpent, I have put a battle. The serpent will knock your foot, bite your foot, and the foot of your children. Not so. Yes. And for you, you will hit the serpent's head and the head of its children. You woman, did God ever told Adam to fight the serpent? You women who are there in the house not fighting. You who don't fight the serpent. Did God never told Adam to fight the serpent? He never put an enmity. Do you know why? Because Adam had not seen the serpent, by the way. Adam never saw this Satan. It is Eve who was engaged in a very serious conversation with the serpent when this hopeless man was, I don't know where he was. God gives you a companion, and instead of being there with your companion and discussing and helping one another, you just go meandering, and she can't find you. Eve could not find Adam. She went meandering in the plantation, and that's why he met the serpent. And the serpent engaged her in a very dangerous conversation. Where was this man? How can you have your wife and she's being engaged in dangerous conversations when you are just there? What are you doing? So what came out? What came out? Adam ate the fruit. Me, I always wonder this Adam. You can't even ask what is this. You can't even ask which fruit, what is this. You just eat for her. Because your wife has just brought. Has very serious issues to discuss.
Hello, It's yet another edition of Authentic Chat with Praise. Develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow. Come and learn to thrive beyond boundaries. Our guest speaker is Honorable Dr. Miria Matembe, 5 p.m. at the Worship House. Entrance is only 10K. Hey, why only survive when you can learn to thrive?